David, thank you very much for the introduction. I'm delighted to be here. I'm honored to have been invited to say a few words of welcome along Bruno Lettet of GMF, one of our partners in helping pull together this forum. And a big thanks, obviously, to the Open Ukraine Foundation for creating a forum whose relevance, I think, continues to grow as Ukraine's strategic position in Europe and its importance continues to grow as well. I'm sorry to say that it's been some years since I have been in Kyiv, 9 roughly, and most of you in this forum, including my Chatham House colleagues here today, James Scher and Orysia Lutsevich, know Ukraine intimately. I do not. But I wanted to take this moment of opening just to share a few words and thoughts about the importance of this forum and explain why Chatham House has been involved with it right from the beginning in helping encourage its launch. The core purpose of this forum, as you all know, is to mobilize democracies to protect the values and freedoms of their system of government that's implicitly embodied in democracy. What are these values and freedoms? I want to say the 7 that I think for me stand out. First and above all, the separation of powers between legislature, executive, and judiciary. Second, the primacy of the rule of law, which this separation of powers helps guarantee. Third, a government that is transparent and accountable to its citizens. Fourth, a fair and open system for the people to be able to change their government at all levels. Fifth, the protection of minorities. Sixth, an open, well-regulated, sustainable economy that offers opportunities to all who wish to seize it and protection to those who cannot. And seventh, a competitive media that can shine the light on the powerful and inform its citizens. Now, democratic government's first job is to uphold these values and systems which together maximize the freedom of its citizens. Free, they are best placed to pursue the opportunities open to them and generate wealth and generate the prosperity and welfare that society depends upon. And I think government's job is to be supportive rather than to be dominant, to implement the regulations, to uphold the laws, to nurture the institutions and prosecute the transgressors. This requires competence and skill, but also a spirit of service by those who govern. Now, running through this list, it's readily apparent that Ukraine is engaged in a mighty struggle for its freedom over a period where government failed the country in the past. This is always a difficult struggle, as democracies across the world can attest, from Western Europe to North and South America to Japan and South Korea. But it is an especially difficult struggle for a government to deliver these freedoms and opportunities if it is under threat and attack from outside. And this is the case for Ukraine, whose territory, people, and institutions are under constant pressure, and in its east, direct attack from its most powerful neighbor, the Russian Federation. Now, why is this? It's clear to me that the vision of creating a free society is not one that the Russian government shares. Russia's leaders have chosen a different path for their future, one in which personal freedoms are curtailed, political institutions, economic actors, the media, and citizens are subjugated to central power. Now, in return, I think Russia's leaders believe they will deliver their people's security, sovereignty, and independence in a turbulent world, that these attributes are more important than personal freedoms. Who knows? With Russia's remarkable resource endowments, its people's fortitude, perhaps Russia will find a way forward along this particular path. But in my opinion, the Russian government's vision for its country and people does not give it the right to impose the same vision on the Ukrainian people. And yet it appears that Russia sees in Ukraine's freedoms dangers to its own security, that the rule of law and a transparent economy will not only disadvantage Russia, but that they will somehow destabilize Russia politically. And I think what is not sufficiently appreciated across the EU is that this means the Ukraine struggle for a free future carries important implications for the future of Europe as a whole. That freedoms that Ukraine is struggling to embed are ones that the EU needs to champion as well. And I think we need to be aware that if pressure can be brought successfully from the outside on Ukraine to change course and to compromise on its essential freedoms, then why shouldn't Russia seek to extend a little further westwards its zone of security and influence and undermine other parts of Europe? So the struggle in Ukraine serves an essential reminder for all of us in the rest of Europe that our security cannot be taken for granted. We need to make the investments in alliances, in our solidarity with our partners, in the kind of military deterrence that we're able to apply. We also need to think about resilience of the state in the future. This means focusing on energy security, cybersecurity, police forces, border control, rules for media ownership, and funding of political parties. Decisions taken in the coming weeks and months will be pivotal for Ukraine. But as important as the steps that we may take, whether it's on essential structural reforms, whether it's on financial aid, whether it's on market access, whether it's on the position on sanctions towards Russia, as important as all of these decisions are, they are maybe not as important as the central decision Europe needs to take. Are the freedoms that Ukraine is struggling to embed the same ones as the rest of Europe holds dear? If so, I believe we have a duty to support Ukraine in that process, not just because it's the right thing to do, but because it's also the right thing to do for all of Europe's security. This outlook gives meaning, an added meaning, to one of the subtitles of this year's Kyiv Security Forum, One for All and All for One. I would reverse this emphasis. Europe should be all for Ukraine, then Ukraine can be all for Europe.